Have you ever imagined waking up to discover that someone had sold your property without your permission? That's exactly what happened to me. My name is Daniel Carter, and my family has owned a 5,200-acre farm in Montana for over 4 generations. We raised cattle, grew hay, and worked this land every single day. It wasn't just property, it was our family's history. Everything changed the morning I returned from a 2-week livestock auction. As I drove toward the ranch entrance, I froze. My family sign was gone. In its place stood a massive billboard that read, "Future site of Eagle Ridge Estates, luxury HOA community." At first, I honestly thought I had taken the wrong road. Then I noticed heavy construction equipment parked inside my own fields. Bulldozers, survey crews, construction trailers, workers wearing bright safety vests. I slammed on the brakes. What in the world is going on? I drove through the gate, but security stopped me before I reached the farmhouse. One guard stepped forward. "Sir, this is private property." I laughed. "No kidding. It belongs to me." He looked at a clipboard. "Actually, according to our records, this property was sold last month." I stared at him in disbelief. "Sold? Impossible. I never signed anything." I demanded to speak with the project manager. A sharply dressed man arrived in a white pickup truck. He smiled confidently. "I'm Mark Benson with Summit Development." I asked him one simple question. "Who sold you my farm?" He opened a folder. "The Green Valley Homeowners Association." I blinked. "My farm isn't even inside the HOA." He shrugged. "They provided all ownership documents." Something felt horribly wrong. I immediately drove to the county recorder's office. Within 30 minutes, the clerk printed the recorded deed. There it was, a warranty deed transferring ownership of my entire 5,200-acre ranch, supposedly signed by me, except it wasn't my signature. Not even close. Someone had forged every document. I asked the clerk who submitted the paperwork. She pointed to one name, the HOA president. I couldn't believe it. Apparently, the HOA board had convinced the developer that my ranch had been abandoned and that the association possessed legal authority to sell unused surrounding land. None of it was true. Not one word. My attorney nearly fell out of his chair when I handed him the paperwork. "This isn't just fraud," he said. "This could be one of the biggest property crimes this county has ever seen." The next morning, we filed an emergency lawsuit. At the same time, the judge issued an immediate temporary restraining order stopping all construction. Developers were furious. Excavators shut down. Concrete trucks turned around. Workers packed up. The HOA board insisted everything had been approved legally. Then discovery began. Emails started appearing. Meeting minutes. Private text messages. Internal financial records. And what they revealed shocked everyone. Months before the fake sale, several HOA board members secretly negotiated with the developer. They promised to deliver my farm for nearly $40 million. In return, they would each receive consulting contracts worth hundreds of thousands. One board member even wrote in an email, "Daniel lives out there alone. He'll never notice until construction starts." Unfortunately for them, I noticed. Our handwriting expert compared the deed signature with 20 years of my actual signatures. It wasn't even remotely similar. The notary stamp, fake. The witness signatures, fake. The identification documents, completely fabricated. Then prosecutors got involved. County investigators executed search warrants. Computers were seized. Phones were collected. Financial accounts were frozen. One investigator uncovered deleted emails discussing exactly how to forge ownership paperwork without attracting attention. That single discovery changed everything. Meanwhile, Summit Development claimed they were innocent buyers. The judge partially agreed. He ruled they had also been deceived by the HOA leadership. However, the law was clear. A forged deed transfers absolutely no ownership, no matter how much money changes hands. That meant, legally, my farm had never left my ownership. Construction crews immediately abandoned the project. Every temporary permit became worthless overnight. The developer then filed a massive lawsuit against the HOA seeking repayment for millions already spent. Insurance companies refused coverage because fraud isn't an accident. The HOA suddenly faced financial disaster. Homeowners who had nothing to do with the scheme were horrified. Property values dropped. Special emergency meetings filled every community center. Residents demanded answers. Within weeks, every board member resigned. Several were later arrested. Others faced civil judgments that wiped out nearly everything they owned. Nearly 8 months after this nightmare began, the courtroom was packed for the final hearing. The judge held up the forged deed. "This document," he said, "is legally void from the moment it was created." He officially restored every county record to reflect my ownership. He ordered the fraudulent filings permanently removed. He awarded me substantial damages for trespassing, lost business, legal costs, and property restoration. The developer received separate judgments against the former HOA officials. Outside the courthouse, reporters surrounded me. One asked whether I planned to sell the ranch now. I smiled. My great-grandfather built this farm. My grandfather protected it. My father expanded it. And after everything that's happened, I'm keeping every single acre. A year later, the damaged fields had been restored. Fresh hay covered the hills. The cattle were grazing peacefully again. The only reminder of the entire ordeal was an empty patch of ground near the entrance where that luxury subdivision billboard once stood. Today, our original wooden ranch sign stands there instead, stronger than ever. Because sometimes the biggest victory isn't winning money. It's proving that no matter how powerful people think they are, they can't steal what was never theirs to take.